everybody, welcome to Crochet, a Canadian crochet podcast. I am your hostess, Claudia. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm so glad you decided to spend a little bit of time with me today. I herald from the base of the Rocky Mountains in southern Alberta, Canada, and I love to crochet. Today I'm going to chat with you about the holiday season because that's coming up, and I'm giving you some ideas on what you can get the crocheters in your life or what you could put on your crochet wish list. So let's get into it. First and foremost, I would like to say I do not receive any compensation, commission, funds, nothing. No one has sponsored or asked me to promote these things. These are just things that I have found myself online, so I do not receive any compensation whatsoever for mentioning these items. So let's get into it. One thing that I think is great, particularly if you're a beginner and you don't really know what to crochet, because we all have that issue once in a while, is that we come across something and we're like, that'd be awesome, and we never make it, or we're like, I have all this yarn, what do I make with it? A subscription box can be a really great way to sort of hone your skills, learn new things, get engaged with a community, and a few of them that I have listed here, and by means is not an exhaustive list. There are so many more. These are just a few that I know are more popular and are available worldwide at the time of recording. This may or may not change if you're watching this down the line. So keep that in mind. It's really important to do your own research. So I have a list here in front of me, so when you see me looking down, that's what it is. It's in my fancy book. Okay, so subscription boxes. The first one I'm going to chat about is Darn Good Yarn, and I think we have all seen those ads for those really pretty multi-use skirts. This is the same company. So they actually have a yarn subscription service, which I didn't know. This one comes in at the least expensive at $10 US per month. This is one that I would definitely subscribe to if I was going to get a subscription service. This is just my personal preference though. This is a woman-owned business. They do a ton of recycling. They are all for empowerment, good working conditions, all of that stuff. And yes, is that it? Yes, that's all I have in my notes. But I think that one would be great. Another one that I have found is called Crochet One. They deliver you yarn in these beautiful boxes, have patterns, work-alongs, all of those things. That one is $30 US per month. Next is the Mindful Makes Yarn box. And this one, they use a ton of local but worldwide. I know that doesn't really make any sense, but just like it wouldn't be mass-produced yarn. So they would try to find, I guess it would be like if they came to my town and they looked at all of the people who make yarn, which surprisingly in the area there are a ton, and then they curated a box based on that. So like that's the idea of that one. That one is more spendy, but again, you're getting like handcrafted artisan wool, and that one is $50 per month. One that I've seen that is international and they herald from the UK is the Crochet Society. This one is a little bit different. So it starts at £18.99. It's not cents. Is it pence? This is where like my knowledge of the UK falls off. It's roughly, I think it's roughly $32 US. Again, with all the exchange rates and everything changing, all of these funds will be different when you go to look at them. So I encourage, do your own research, look, see what you would like best. So this lady has really pretty patterns, women-owned. She has an exclusive group that you can join when you get your subscription. I don't think it's mandatory, but you'll have access to it. That has to do with tutorials, joining other people in the society, work-alongs, things like that. So that is another one. So there's 4 for you. And I will have all of these things. This is going to be a very link-heavy episode, but I'll have all of these things linked for you in the description box so that you can check them out yourself when you have time. Number 2, if you want to go subscription, but maybe don't really know what to subscribe to, we can go a little bit old-fashioned, go analog, or even digital, is magazines. There are a bajillion magazines out there. I had no idea. I'm not really a magazine reader, but I totally understand that loads of people are. So 2 that I have found at my local magazine haunt Crochet with an exclamation point, Crochet magazine, and Simply Crochet are two that are readily available. You could probably get digital downloads or digital subscriptions for many of the other ones that are around in the world, but again, check. See which one you think your person or that you would like best. And okay, number 3, gift cards. I am not a fan of gatekeeping, as you may well know. I don't see anything wrong with people using the big name brands of yarn. So that being said, getting a gift card to Walmart, to Michael's, to Joann, Hobby Lobby, we don't have that in Canada. I think that's just in the States. Though I think those are all really great ways to help yourself crochet and help others crochet as well. Further to that, if you have a local yarn store, hit them up. Most people will get you some kind, particularly around the holidays, they will be able to get you some kind of gift certificate, gift card, whatever the vernacular is where you live, that's what you can get. I'm not sure if these things could be extended to local yarn producers. It doesn't hurt to send them an email and say, hey, I've seen your yarn and I really love it. I was wondering if you provide gift certificates. The worst they can say is no, right? That's literally the worst that they can say. And down the line, if enough people ask for things like that, it might be something that they're willing to make in the future. So remember that. Okay, number 4, this is a bit of a scary one. I know that if someone gave me, I'm grateful for all yarn that I've given and I make something out of it, but sometimes it's really scary if I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do with this? But you can ask your person, what yarn would you like? So that they can purchase it, or you can have it purchased for you, or ask for it. No, that's not what I want to say. So that you can put it on your wish list or purchase this for someone else. So again, this runs the gamut. You can check literally anywhere that has yarn, and it could even be something super simple, like they just need tons and tons and tons of gray yarn, and that you can fulfill that need for someone. But ask things that you would need to be specific on. If you have a project in mind, or if you have something that you really like, brand, even the fancy skeins of yarn will have a brand name. Try not to inundate people with dye lot too much. It's something that you could mention. You say, hey, like there's a secondary number, and in a perfect world, it would be amazing if you could get all of these in that same number. And if they go to a more local or specialized craft or yarn store, the staff should be able to help them with that, or be able to put in an order so that you could receive a big batch of it if that's necessary. And yeah, colors, or if you don't even really care, you can be like, you know what, just buy me some yarn. And people are incredible about fulfilling that. Okay, so this, I would say, this category 5, I would say is like, I would call it accoutrement. So it's like little things that you might not buy yourself that you would like, or that would be handy, or things like that. So I have, oh gosh, I have lots of these things. I actually own most of these things. Granted, I've been crocheting a long time. So, okay, things like a hook organizer or case. I love hook organizers. I love cases. I look at them all the time on Amazon. I have a little one that I have repurposed. It was full of boy hooks when I got it, B-O-Y-E. And now I have my bamboo ones in there. So a lot of these things, like, I could repurpose them, but sometimes it's nice, particularly if you are a knitter and crocheter, to just have like one thing that you put all of your stuff in. Lots of these hook cases also will have, they sort of are like a little binder or day planner with a handle. So they open up flat like this, and then they often have a pouch in the center, or they'll have a few like pages where you can put different things in them. And then it makes it really handy because then you can put all of your little stuff in here. Some of these things that I'm going to mention in here. So it keeps it in a nice, handy, easy to take along package, which is great. So hook organizer or case. Another thing, and I don't actually know the name of it, but you can check the links out, like I said. They're usually they're square and they have different sized holes in them, and then they'll have a unit of measure along the bottom or top or side or whatever. And you do that to check the gauge of your work or to check the size of your hook or needle if there is nothing listed on it. I'm sure it has like a proper name, and I'm super glad to learn it. So please, if you know what I'm talking about, please let me know what is the name of this thing. But these are handy, particularly if you receive old crochet hooks. I had some that all the numbers were rubbed off from people using them because it wasn't stamped into the hook itself or anything like that, so it got rubbed off over time, and I had to guess. And again, when you get going and you've been doing it for a long time, you can kind of guess, but when you're in like those little tiny hooks, I find in particular, those ones are really hard to figure out which is which. So that is another great thing to check out. Stitch markers, oh my goodness, I was a person who's like, I don't need stitch markers, I don't need them, they're a waste. Not a waste at all, no. This is something though that I personally am a little bit more fussy about. So I bought myself the Clover crochet stitch markers, and for those of you who are not aware, crochet stitch markers and knitting stitch markers are very different. Crochet stitch markers will look sort of like a safety pin. So they'll have like a top that's like this, and then they'll have the little thing that sticks out, and you push this like that to close it, and then you open it and take it out. A knitting one is usually a circle, like it's a plain circle, or it's a little like latch thingy that you have on. It has like the dangly bits that are really cute. That's one thing I feel like crochet totally misses out on, is knitting stitch markers are so cute. Crochet ones, not really. So the reason I caution you to make sure that you purchase crochet ones or ones that can be clipped and unclipped is because as you're crocheting along, and if you use the circle one, A, it's really hard to get on your hook, B, you will crochet it into your work. So you don't want to do that. So that's why I would say be very, 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 very certain that you get the ones that clip and unclip, because those are crochet specific. And they're great. They're great when you need to do increases, decreases. If you are doing anything that you, instead of going back and forth to make a circle or a loop, if you're like going around like that, to mark the end of your stitch, they are fantastic. So like I said, I like the Clover brand ones because the plastic is really smooth, and yes, they're plastic, most of them are. But I purchased more inexpensive ones from, I believe, Walmart, but don't quote me. Those ones are fine, they're just not my preferred one. I found that when they were pressed or finished or whatever, the finishing wasn't really great, and sometimes they'd have like little tiny, like kind of a hangnail of plastic on them, and then your yarn gets stuck on it, which is not the end of the world. It's just not as nice as being able to like pull out your stitch marker nicely instead of like having to pick up your yarn and like, you know, kind of you get what you pay for. But that being said, there is really nothing wrong with the other ones. It's just I prefer the Clover brand ones. Oh, yarn bowls. Okay, so my friends, bless their hearts, they bought me yarn bowls that were hand thrown from a potter. They were absolutely beautiful, but mine got broken. So be aware of that. If you have pets or small children, I don't recommend the hand thrown pottery style ones because they are just more fragile. If you have a dedicated space that you crochet, or if you don't have children and pets, then I would go for those. They're absolutely beautiful. It helps support cottage industry. It's someone's hands that have made them. That being said, yes, they are more spendy. Usually they are quite durable. And if you take care of them, they will last a very, very long time. Unfortunately, my house at the time that I had mine were too chaotic and mine got broken. That doesn't mean that, you know, you're out of luck. You can purchase beautiful wooden ones that have also been cottage made on most of them are made on a lathe. Some of them are hand carved, but you can get wood. You could get, oh gosh, there's all kinds. Like there's so many different ones. You just would have to search yarn bowl on Etsy and you'll be able to see whatever they have there. So most of them have two sides, and I have only used the one side on mine. So oftentimes they'll have a hook side. I don't know. I'm not sure what you call it, but the bowl is not a complete circle. There'll be a little notch in the top and it goes like this. Might have had that, and then on the opposite side, it's just a hole. So I think it would probably be to do with changing and not changing colors and things like that. So if you're not changing colors, you would just put it through the straight hole, but otherwise you'd put it through the hook hole. I would forget to put it through the hook hole, or I would realize that I could use it too late and then I couldn't feed the yarn back through. So I almost exclusively used that. Alternately, I have used an IKEA bamboo bowl for my bigger balls of yarn that I've made. Something like that works really great. You can even hand make if you go to the thrift store and you can find a wooden bowl. If you're crafty, you can drill a hole in it and make sure that you sand it out nicely, and then you're done. It's great. So that's something else. Oh, baskets. Oh, I have a love affair with baskets, let me tell you. Oh gosh, I have so many baskets. I really like the seed grass style with the handles on it, because then I can take my projects where I like to go. And also, if it's a decent size, you can get these in tons of different shapes, different colors, different sizes. I'm also very partial to the ones that are made in Africa they are incredibly sturdy, incredibly beautiful. This is one though you have to watch that you make sure that you're getting them from like actual people that have made them in the country that they come from, instead of being mass produced. Just to make sure, like, it's really important to me when you get like the African style ones in particular, all of them in a perfect world, but these ones in particular, anything that, I hate saying this word, but it has like an ethnicity attached to it. But to me, like, it is that much more important that you support that. It would be the same to me as if I purchased like moccasins, for example. It's really important to me that I support a local tribe that has actually made it, and that beading is a part of their heritage and things like that. Luckily, I have a store that is not far away from me that has all of these things. They're beautiful. All of it is locally made. Most of it's locally sourced. It's really great. So that's what I'm saying, is that when you can support a group of people, it's important that you do that, but wisely. To me, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm just saying, when it comes to things like this, and you just have to take the 15 minutes to like look on Google or check the brand or go to the store, even if it's a smaller locally owned store, they can probably tell you where those baskets were sourced from. But those are great things to have, because not only can you tote individual projects around, you can just store your yarn in there and they look beautiful, and it doesn't look like you got boxes of yarn everywhere. It just looks like you have really nice baskets. Okay, this is something in particular that I love having. I use it all the time. I have a cloth measuring tape. It is, oh goodness, it's quite old. So the difference between a cloth measuring tape and like a carpenter's measuring tape is a cloth one is like, it's flimsy, you can't snap it out. And the reason that I prefer these is because, well, I measure things all the time, but I get a more accurate reading with the cloth measuring tape versus a carpenter's measuring tape. Not that they're all bad, you can definitely use them, but I prefer that. It's something that's really handy, particularly if you're making clothes for yourself and you need to do measurements. It's really hard to measure yourself, get this, with a carpenter's measuring tape if you need to check like your bust or waist or arms, anything like that. They're great. You know, most of them have a centimeter side and an inches side. That might depend on where you live. I use the centimeter side almost exclusively because I grew up in the time where we didn't talk about inches at all. So I know it's 2.54, but I don't have time to like do the math in my head, but I know how much 10 centimeters is. Okay, this is something on my own wish list. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let me back up a little bit. Quite a while ago, I found these light up crochet hooks, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to have these, because I typically crochet at night because I have a day job. And when it's wintertime in Canada, I feel like it's always night. Anyway, I thought these would be fantastic. I have not purchased any. I cannot verify that they actually work, that they're any good. All I know is they take the little batteries, but they light up, and I think they're really, really neat. But that is something I think that would be neat as a gift for somebody. Like if somebody gave them to me, I'd be like, yay! I wouldn't turn them away for sure, but it's not something I have purchased for myself. But that is an idea. Light up crochet hooks. What could be better? Because also, if you're like me, I crochet outside at nighttime, especially when I'm camping, and you can't be guaranteed light, so they would be fantastic. And if they're battery powered, you can literally take them anywhere. Okay, the final thing that was something that I didn't think that I needed and I did end up needing, so I recommend to lots of people, are yarn needles for when you are feeding your work back into itself when you're cleaning up at the end. I did, for many, many years, I used pointy-ended, just large-sized just sewing needles. Oh my goodness, I don't even know which discipline I'm talking about. And it was okay. It's just they weren't great. Like, there's a reason that there are specific things for specific tasks, because they do the job better. That being said, okay, so I have a set. I have metal ones, and the eyes are really big. That's what I want to look for myself specifically, is big eyes, but different sizes as well. You don't usually need super duper long needles. I think the long ones with the bigger eyes are upholstery, but don't hold me to that. But they'll be roughly about 8 centimeters long is long, but that's about how big they'll be. Actually, it's more like 6, isn't it? I don't know, I'm having a hard time telling. They're about this long. Anyway, they'll have a larger eye. That's how you know they're for yarn. For ultra chunky yarn, you might be like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna fix this? I have purchased, this thing is massive. It is about this long. It is wood. It's shaped like a teardrop, like this, and it has like the hole in it is about this big, about the size, oh goodness, about half a dime. And I can fit really, really thick, like 25 millimeter yarn into that very easily. And when I feed it through the yarn to tie my ends back in, it works really well, things like that. So if you prefer a chunkier yarn, or if you're somebody that likes that look, they definitely make needles that size. They are a little bit harder to find mass market. I purchased mine at Michael's, and I have no complaints. It was really well made, and it looks brand new, and I've used it tons. So that's that. Thank you so much for joining me on Crochet, a Canadian crochet podcast. It means so much to me that you spent a little bit of time with me today. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, and let me know what is on your wish list this year for crochet items. I would love to hear what you have on yours. Mine specifically, gift card to my yarn store in town, because I just want to go and buy more skeins of yarn. I love them. That's what I want. What do you want? Let me know. I am super excited. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great day. Bye! Also, like, I realized my hair is so big today. It looks really good in real life. Like, it looks cool, but when I'm seeing it on camera, it's just like this, like, thing. Well, whatever. And this is in the blooper reel, by the way.